Hi, I'm Paco Nathan from O'Reilly Media, and we're here at AI New York 2018, and it's a pleasure to get to speak today with Ron Bodkin, your Technical Director, Applied Artificial Intelligence at Google. Welcome, Ron.
Thanks, Paco. Nice to see you again.
Okay, great to see you too. Can you tell me a bit about your role at Google?
Sure. So I'm a part of the CTO office, and our role in the CTO office is to work both with our product and engineering teams to make sure that our products are really driving value, to have a big impact, and to work with customers to make sure that they're able to leverage it and these capabilities, right? So our focus in AI is really, what are the transformative things, the 10x opportunities that enterprises and software and tech companies can achieve in working with Google, specifically working in Google Cloud, right? So that's the role.
Excellent. So with machine learning and AI, it's really coming to the front and center now for a lot of these discussions that we're seeing, especially when you get a room full of CIOs and CTOs together. What's your take on the general state of AI in the industry?
Yeah, absolutely. So, the reason I came to Google 6 months ago is because I was so excited about Google's leadership. Everything from innovative research in Google Brain and DeepMind and into Google Cloud, but then also leadership in terms of being very much in the front of open source development with TensorFlow, some of the new capabilities, and then the underlying capabilities to develop technologies like tensor processing units and hardware, right? So I'm very excited by the capabilities that Google has, and one of the things that's really interesting to me is also Google has been very much in the lead in terms of applying these technologies in our own business, right? So there's over 7,500 TensorFlow models checked into our source code control system. It's being used across products, whether it be enabling new things like Google Assistant and Google Home, or improving core products. Like the most significant improvement to Google Search in the last 3 years has come from deep learning models, something we call RankBrain. And likewise, improving the way that our ad system works and YouTube recommendations, right? So Google has been applying these techniques, deep learning techniques, creating embeddings, right? So translating a lot of information into dense information into dense tensors that can be used for modeling, which is a big shift from traditional feature building, right? So we've been doing this, really it took off in the last 3 years and been AI first in the company, right? And so maybe an analogy, when Google published the first MapReduce paper in 2004, it took 7 to 10 years for it to become mainstream in industry. So we've been at this about 3 years. So if the same timelines apply, we're probably something like 4 years away from it being mainstream. But what we're seeing is, of course, acceleration, a lot of interest. And one of the things that I find exciting is how cloud can really allow us to expose things like the networking prowess, the TPUs and GPUs, hosting models, right? So that a lot of what is complicated to do to really execute well on machine learning, you can rent in a cloud like Google Cloud rather than having to build it on premise where there's a lot of complexity. So that may well accelerate the adoption curve a bit, right? So we see a lot of large enterprises coming to us. We have CEOs coming to us saying, Google, how can we take advantage of AI in our business, right? We'd love to learn from you. And a lot of times we do start with, here are the things we've already done that are working. What are the analogies in your business?
Well, taking that a bit further then, given what you've learned from these customers, what kind of advice do you have for the companies that are early in this journey, the ones that are just getting started with AI adoption?
Yeah, so I'd say that being successful in AI requires you to have foundations of having your big data organized and to be able to be a real-time digital company, to be able to act on that when you build models that you can take action, right? So many organizations have some housekeeping to do. They need to make sure their data strategy is executing, need to make sure they build digital culture and capabilities. But I'd also say that what we see is really important is getting started, right? So starting to look at what are the areas where you can apply, right? So enterprises can build capabilities in unevenly, right? So you can have a pilot team that's applying these new AI techniques to business problems in areas where you have built digital capability and have organized your data, even if you have other parts of the business that are still getting organized on the data side, right? So we think it's really important to pick some low-hanging fruit, get some pilots that you're not really benefiting until you're deploying things into production, right? So it's super important to go from testing ideas and saying, hey, this can work, to actually doing deployments and testing live in a real business process. That's where the real learnings come. That's where the real value comes. So doing it incrementally is really important. The other thing I'd say is, there's a range of options, right? One end is building custom models, right? And we provide not just open source with TensorFlow and hosted services for that and optimized processing, but also building blocks, right? So what are pre-trained models, right? Taking advantage of things like video intelligence or natural language processing, building blocks in the cloud that can be useful to integrate into an application without having to train models and take specialized data scientists. You can do a lot with that. And one thing I'm really excited about is something in between those two, which is what we call AutoML,
right,
which is a way of making it easier to specialize a model. Take the advanced development of, say, a vision model that we've created, but then give your own examples of the kind of classes you want to classify, and then have it be so that analysts and engineers can train state-of-the-art deep learning models in some of these domains with this kind of transfer learning and hyperparameter tuning and even our learn-to-learn research, right, to make them work well for a specific application without requiring data scientists. And the last thing we see a lot of organizations doing is saying, hey, we also want to take advantage of AI that's built into our products, right? So like Google AdWords has smart bidding as an example, or Google Sheets has features to make it a lot easier to visualize and understand the data in your spreadsheets, right? And the reality is enterprises are going to do all of these things. They're going to have to build custom models. They're going to leverage building blocks to extend the range and capability of the data scientists. And where there are products that they can buy off the shelf, have those capabilities, take advantage of them. So we think that you're going to need to do all of those things. But the key thing is, getting those initial pilots, figuring out areas where you can start to create business value and build momentum.
Now, going back to cloud, what are some of the ways that Google Cloud Platform helps to alleviate some of the challenges you're talking about in machine learning?
Absolutely. So there's, across the board, if you look at when you are doing more custom model development, we provide ease of use of spinning up machine learning environments, right? So with our machine learning engine that make available, TensorFlow, make available a variety of accelerators like tensor processing units that are now in beta, right, that have been as I'll talk about in my keynote tomorrow, the best price performance result in Stanford's Dawn Bench was posted by training ImageNet models with TPUs, right? Significant savings. So we see that as well as the fastest time to train those, right? So a significant performance, right? So we bring a lot of capability to making it really easy to do custom. Then AutoML is a major push. We've announced AutoML Vision, and we're developing additional AutoML capabilities to make smart building blocks, as well as building blocks APIs ranging from natural language processing to speech generation to vision and video intelligence and dialogue flow for interaction and conversations, as well as providing a great set of data tools. Right, one of the things that people often don't think about is it's not enough just to be able to train your models, but what's the system, right? So we have really high performance BigQuery that makes it much easier to organize and access your data for training. We have Dataflow as a streaming data processing engine, right, as well as Dataproc for Hadoop. So we have a lot of great tools to integrate to build systems, and there's a lot of work in TensorFlow on open sourcing more, right? So TensorFlow Hub to have pre-built models, TFX to make it easier to have end-to-end transformations and processing for your machine learning system, right? All of that is something that came from Google, and therefore, Google Cloud has, first-class support and capabilities.
Excellent. Well, this is a wide range of different technologies. What do you foresee as having the most impact for developers and data scientists out of these? Yeah,
so I'd say that we think that democratizing access to machine learning is going to have a huge impact, right? So AutoML, making it possible so an increasing amount of what you can do with deep learning models can be done without requiring your specialized data science team to go and learn the latest state-of-the-art research in deep learning and deep reinforcement learning and generative adversarial networks, right? We think that there's a lot of value in having smart building blocks that solve 80% of the problems without having to do that. And now there's still going to be the hardest problems where we add a lot of value in the infrastructure with TensorFlow, continue to improve the way TensorFlow works, making it easier with things like TensorFlow Eager so people can prototype before they optimize with more traditional TensorFlow, right? So there's a lot of capabilities there. We also do things like we've made available our co-laboratory environment, which is Jupyter Notebooks with great visualization and easier to have a hosted environment, right? So you can point it at a TPU or a GPU and get accelerated performance. Right, so we think that there's a lot of value there as well in terms of how do you really do custom models, how do you go from research to application to deployment at scale in the cloud.
Excellent. And you'll be speaking tomorrow. You're giving a keynote and also a session?
That's right. So doing a keynote, talking very briefly about what we're doing at Google and some of these innovations that we're bringing to market based on our experience of deploying deep learning at scale, and then a session on using AI for the digital experience. Again, talking more about what we're doing at Google, how we're applying deep learning and AI techniques extensively, and indeed some of our customers in Google Cloud and some of how organizations like Spotify are taking advantage of Google Cloud to improve recommendations, and eBay for visual search and shopping recommendations, for example.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I'm looking forward to your talk. Thank you very much, Ron. Really appreciate it.